Hello everyone, welcome, welcome. We are thrilled to be here tonight. It is November 30th, 2015. It is the last day of November. So that means if you have not ordered your November POM, which is the wrap top, pattern number 650, get it done tonight. Use your coupon code from Facebook and get it done. Today's the last day. And we have a new pattern of the month 1500, which is what we're talking about tonight. We are really excited about this. So just before we start asking questions, let me tell you what's going to be happening over the next little while. First off, we have our, last year we started it, we didn't record it, but this year we're going to do it again and we're going to record it. It's our Toys for Tots campaign. And so we'll start that on sometime Friday. It'll go through Sunday night. On Sunday, we are going to have a sit and sew. So I'm going to sew 1500, the jacket. And you all can watch. It's a 3-hour. It's going to go from Sunday to 1 to 4. It's before Hanukkah starts. Hanukkah starts Sunday night at sundown. So get everything done before Hanukkah starts so you can sit down and watch with us. It'll be live. So what we're going to do tonight is do the fitting. We're going to go over all the concepts of 1500 so that you can get it all fitted. All the POMs were, if you're a POM club member, they were all shipped out last week. We put the December POM 1500 up early so that you could get your pattern and get it all done and get it fixed and everything you need to do. Like I said, that's what we're going to do tonight. And so Saturday or Sunday when we do this, we're not going to do it Saturday. Saturday's a really crazy busy day. We decided Sunday afternoon was a little bit better. Like I said, 1 to 4, that 3-hour window. 1 to 4, that's Central Time, so kind of adjust according to where you are. We're going to sit and sew along, and I'm going to cut it out and sew the jacket and get it all done, and that way we'll have new jackets for the holidays, so it'll be really nice. And you can just sew right with me. I don't see why you can't. Just look up every once in a while, see where I am, see where you are, and we'll get it done together. Alright, so that's going to happen. Save the date. The email tomorrow will have it outlined for you so that you'll know where to go, when to go, and have the time, but save the date for us. And then, like I said, all the proceeds that we do, we'll have a special Toys for Tots section. Like I said, we'll collect from Friday until Sunday, and then we'll donate. So hopefully we can make some kids out there have a little bit happier holiday season. That's really the goal, and we can all do our part. Anyway, we really appreciate it. We look forward to it. We're really excited. This week is going to be our jacket week. We're going to get it all done, and it's going to be really exciting. So tonight, as we go through the fit, we want you to ask all the questions you need to. But before we even get started on that, let's go ahead and do our regular questions answer periods here at the beginning. And let me know if you have any questions, and we're happy to answer them for you. What fusible should we use with lightweight knits for a yoga skirt? The knits are a little too lightweight. Yeah, you can fuse a lightweight knit, but when you fuse a lightweight knit, it can't stretch, even if you take and fuse a lightweight knit. All of our fusible is on sale. We only have one kind of fusible. We have it in black and white. It's both on sale. It's the Cyber Monday sale. We started last week. It ends tonight. So I would highly recommend you get that stuff because once you use it, you'll love it. You'll use it forever. It's really good stuff. But when you fuse a knit, you're only adding additional body. It actually won't stretch. A knit fused to a knit will prohibit either one from stretching. So it is the only fusible I use. I use it even on wovens because when you fuse a woven to a woven, the woven won't drape. When you fuse a knit to a woven, then it will still drape and it will be beautiful, but it will give it a little more body. So if you just want a little more structure, fuse the skirt. Don't fuse the band because it doesn't need it, and you want that to stretch, but the top of the skirt would be okay if you decide you wanted to fuse that. Alright? Is tie interfacing called something else? I can't find it at the fabric store. That's a very cute question. No, it's not called anything else, and fabric stores don't have it. That's why you can't find it at the fabric stores. I don't know why you can't find it at the fabric stores. Really, they just kind of go for a mass appeal, and tie interface, I don't know why. It should be the masses. I don't know. I can't answer that question why they don't carry it, but they don't. It's on our site. I don't know of anybody else who carries it, to be honest. The only thing I suggest is that you take it out of you know, somebody's tie. They're going to be real upset with you when the tie interfacing is gone, but I can suggest that if you take it out, don't tell them, or put it in the back of the closet, maybe they won't notice. One of those two options always works. But we do have it for sale. It's by the yard. We get it pre-cut, so even if you order 5 yards, you get 5 1-yard pieces. It's all pre-cut in 1-yard sections, and it is for sleeve caps. We're going to show you how to use that Sunday when we do the sew along. All right. Can you explain the steps in taking a basic pattern that you have fitted, e.g. example 195 or 600, and then how do we use that fitted pattern to select, adjust other related patterns? Okay, so let me kind of give you an outline, I think is what you're looking for. And let's use 195, because 195, 600, 1900, it doesn't matter what the number is. But when we talk about fit, we talk about, let's use 195 as an example. We break that fit down into length, circumference, and depth. So in length, we have lengths on a top that are base the neck to bust and bust to waist. Once I've done that on one knit top, then the lengths are going to be the same on every other pattern I compare it to. So I'm going to want to say, does the bust point come into the right place? Does the waist hit in the right place? All right, then circumference, when I'm talking a knit, I'm talking, now that's going to change a little bit depending on how flexible the knit is, but I'm looking for the minimum circumference I need in 195 so that when I compare it to another pattern, it will have at least that amount of circumference. If it's smaller, then I should, you know, that's kind of a red flag that I need to maybe add some more. Maybe the pattern I'm making is going to be too small. And then there's depth, and those depths are the angle of the shoulder and the size of the dart in a top. And those are consistent. So my shoulder angle doesn't change from a knit top to a blouse. It should be the same. So if I've changed the angle and fixed it and made it correct, then every other pattern I compare to that, I should be looking for that same angle. And that's something I can fix before I ever get to the tissue. Or I'm sorry, before I ever get to the cloth. So what I'm looking for, instead of saying generically I'm looking for fit, I'm actually looking for lengths, circumference, and depth, and I'm looking to compare from the base as to what I have fitted and what I know to be correct to my body, and then every other pattern I compare back to that, I want that to be the same. If I use 600, the classic blouse as an example, and I've made a blouse and I like the amount of ease in that blouse, if I go into another pattern and I pick the size and that size is smaller, then that's my red flag that I don't want to use that smaller size. I also want to look for the dart location, where it is, the size of the dart, the angle of the shoulder. Again, I want to compare all those things. All right, does that help? And you always want to compare center fronts together. You compare center front to the one that fits and center front to the one you're making, and then put the base of the neck right together, put those 2 points together, and then everything else I should be able to kind of clearly see. All right, hopefully that helps you. All right, when using rayon knits, my yoga skirts are too thin for my taste. Would you double the thickness of the rayon or use some sort of fusible interfacing? What type of interfacing would be best? All right, so hit rewind. We just talked about fusibles. But in rayon, if the fabric is too light, I would not use the fusible. I would actually use 2 layers of the fabric. Or you could use a layer of another fabric. You know, it doesn't have to be the same fabric. If you've got some fabric that you're not crazy about, you don't think you're going to use, kind of make a slip to it. And I like that better. I like 2 layers of rayon as opposed to 1, if it's too thin for what you want to do. I think that's a good idea. When altering the shoulder slope, do you alter the sleeve to accommodate the new size? You know, whenever you alter an armhole, and when you alter, I'm going to use this pattern right here because I've got it laying here. This would be the angle of the shoulder. And when you re-angle that, or when you change it, you make that armhole smaller. My philosophy is you have 2 options. You can either restore the armhole back to what it was by just lowering the whole thing down, and I'm going to use my French curve and just kind of show you here for a minute. So if I put my French curve on that armhole, there's the armhole. If I've now, and let's just say as I put that French curve on it, there's my start point. If I now decide to lower the shoulder seam, the whole armhole can move down the same amount without changing the armhole. To me, that's the most common thing that should be done. And the reasoning behind that is because there's nothing wrong with the armhole. There was nothing wrong with the sleeve. It was just the wrong angle where the armhole started of the shoulder seam. However, if you change the angle of the shoulder, you make the armhole smaller, the other option you have is to make the sleeve smaller. And that's not wrong. It all goes back to these little templates that I've been after you guys about, okay? As that we should know what we like, because armholes are style. I can't tell you what you like. Nobody should be telling you what you like. You should be telling yourself what you like. So if you have a jacket, or if you go try on a jacket at a store and you measure the armhole, then you can put that armhole onto your jacket. Let's say, for instance, that this armhole is a 22, and now I've lowered the shoulder seam a ½ inch in the front and in the back, and I've made it 21. If I like a 21-inch armhole, then I'll just shorten the cap height and keep the 21-inch armhole. If I don't know what I like, then I have no clue what I'm doing. So you have to have an origin as to what you want and where you're going. A little while ago we talked about on the website, if you go all the way across the tab, there's a features button. And if you click on that features in the middle of the column, there's a little link that says chart for measuring, what's it called, Brett? Chart for measuring something. Anyway, it's all of the basics that you should know. And we put that up, it says new on it. Remember, that was what I told Brett I didn't want him to put up, and he put it up, and now everybody's happy and loves Brett because he put it up. Finding your measurements, that's the little grid that you're looking for, and on there it has these are things you need to know so that when you run into issues like changing a shoulder seam and that makes the arm smaller, then you have two options. Do I restore the armhole, or do I make the sleeve smaller? You're the only one who can answer that question, so I can kind of lead you to the river, but you're the one who has to drink. So I've just got to make sure that you understand what options you have, and then you can decide which way you want to go from that. Okay? Now, I talked a little while ago also about that is on What's Up Your Sleeves. And that video is not expensive. You guys, I'm telling you, it takes you and walks you through all of these issues with sleeves. Armholes, changes, all of these options, and it is I think a real value for you. And I only did it because I got so many sleeves and armhole questions, and these will really kind of help you. Okay, What's Up Your Sleeve? It's a new DVD we did a little while ago. Okay. Question. Do you make armhole templates for both the front and back armholes? Yes, you do. They should be the same. Our armholes are large enough today. The back armholes and front armholes are not different. They used to be when they were small. Armholes, if you go back into the 60s and 70s, they were only 14 inches, 12 inches. Armholes today are 18 and 20 inches. So because they're large, they don't have to be front and back specific. They're just a large opening, and they can be the same in the front as they are in the back. There's no difference. Again, if you get into a small armhole and you like it different, then yes, you should make templates, but you should at least observe the differences between the front and the back. Okay? Alright, question is, could I sew number 1700 along with you instead of 1500, since you already fit number 1700 to me at a workshop and I love the fit? Or what changes should I make to 1500? Well, first off, you can do anything you want. You don't need my permission. But to answer your question, you know, the 1500 is just a notched lapel. The 1700 is a shawl collar. So the shawl collar is a little less time. I had done a shawl collar last year when we did the 1950, so I really wanted to do a notched lapel and show you how easy and fun that is. But yeah, you can do anything you want to do is fine. And I've already fit 1700 to you. I would do the 1700. The 1700 body and the 1500 body are similar. So if you've got one, you could make the same changes to 1500. Do that muslin work ahead of time and then sew along with us on Sunday. Alright? Decorative zippers are everywhere. Where can I find them? I'm looking for gold zippers with decorative pulls. They are everywhere. I would absolutely agree. And because they're everywhere, New York has a hard time having surplus, if that makes sense. I looked into having them made, and they were just ridiculously expensive, and I opted out. Now we have zippers They are, well, look online. Look online and see the zippers. We have them made. We have the decorative pulls. But when you start getting into the shorter lengths, you can make them shorter. But when you make the shorter lengths are just as expensive as the longer lengths, and so I made the longer lengths. But if you look at the ones we have online, they might be what you want, but they are everywhere. And I put that size zipper everywhere. I put it at the shoulders. I use them all the time. And we have black with silver teeth, black with gold, white with silver, and white with gold. And they are everywhere. I mean, boy, talk about a zipper fetish. It's amazing. They're just everywhere, every corner. They're all over the place. So really, to make something look extremely current and trendy, just put a zipper in someplace. We just did a little deal on that with PBS. We just filmed PBS last week, you guys. We just wrapped it up. It's very exciting. Very exciting. We have a whole new set. We actually moved production here to Dallas. So we produced here in Dallas. A whole new set. It's absolutely amazing. We now, we were really able to, because I've lived in Dallas for a long time, we were able to have guests from Hager Slacks, a denim expert came in, oh gosh, a designer came in. We had all kinds of really fun guests. So this is a really exciting season for us, and we hope you'll love it. It will go on sale in a couple weeks. We're still working on just fine-tuning everything, and then we'll put it out for sale. But it really will be worthwhile. All right, question is, on pattern 1954 jacket, that's Mildred's jacket, directions say to start adding lining to the left bottom front and not start in the center of the back, in the center of the collar area. Too short when finishing. You're just attaching the lining to the facing. You guys can do it however you want. If you want to start at the back and then sew both directions, it doesn't make any difference. Just as long as you attach the two and you understand the two pieces are supposed together, then however you do that is fine. Doesn't make a difference how you do it. Okay? And that's the same on any jacket. You'll see when the jacket that I do this weekend, I'm going to line it. I'm going to do a fully lined jacket. So I'll just show you the way we do it, and then again, you guys, as long as you understand the big picture, then you can work it backwards. How do I get the point of the French dart to look nice and lay flat? What am I doing wrong? Well, I don't know what you're doing wrong, but what I do is I start from the tip, and because the tip is the part that's going to show. So start at the tip, start at the point that's marked on the pattern, and then work toward the open end. Work toward the side seam. And what I noticed in a workshop, I had a lady who came to a workshop and she brought her sewing machine. She said, I can't get this thing to lay flat. What do I do? And I noticed that she was like starting at the tip, and like the end was way over here. So I had her put it in a straight line. So she kind of lined up the needle and the point with the end. So put the end, or the open part, like toward your body, and then just stitch right toward you. It kind of moved in a flat in a flat space, and that really helped her. That made all the difference for her. And I don't think I'd ever noticed how you hold it or what you do, but like I said, just start at the point and just sew to the end, and you'll see that the point will not be a 3/8 inch seam allowance, and then once you get to the cut part, that's when the 3/8 inch seam allowance starts and it continues on. Okay? Alright, so how are we doing on questions? I know we're a little bit behind. Peggy, on your jacket on the mannequin, this one here, there's a gap at the lower armhole just above the breast. Can you show how to fix that, please? We will. Hang on. We're going to drape this, you guys. This is not a jacket. This is a muslin. We're going to drape this muslin tonight. So you're just getting a little bit ahead of me. You got to hold on, have some patience, and I'll get there. The sew along. Okay, for everybody, the sew along is this Sunday. It's December 6th, and it's from 1 to 4, and that's Central. And I know Hanukkah starts Sunday night, but it doesn't start until sundown. So we tried to, we didn't want to do it the next week because Hanukkah goes that whole week, and we didn't want to do it later. It gets into the holidays. So we thought we'd do it before. We didn't want to do it on Saturday because we felt like Saturdays were just crazy busy, and Sundays you get to church or whatever, and then we can get home. So Sunday afternoon, 1 to 4 is our time. Okay, so I want to show you one thing that's very cool. Watch for this on the site this week. This is a French curve. That's a 3/8 inch seam allowance. Alright, so this is really neat because so many times when I make a French curve line, in order to make the seam allowance that follows that line, you have to like make a whole bunch of little, spots that are 3/8 inch out. So all you have to do here is lay it down. This is really cool. I'm really excited about these, you guys. So we are going to have these up. They'll be ready next week. This is just our prototype, but they're really fun to play with. You can kind of knock somebody out. Anyway, I guess I shouldn't give all those suggestions. Alright, so we've been planning this workshop for quite some time. The goal here is to really get you a wonderful jacket. I love jackets. I think jackets are the best thing we could make for ourselves. They are the most expensive thing to buy as far as our wardrobe goes, and they are not inexpensive. And when they are nice fabric, they get really expensive. So, and I mean thousands, you know, they're really beautiful. So the goal here is to get nice fabric, and I'm going to show you a jacket that I did, and I want to show you unlined tonight, and then this Sunday when we sew we'll do lined. But the very first thing I want to start off with is fitting. Alright, so we're going to go to our mannequin, and we are going to look at our mannequin, and you guys, I'm going to give you some instructions. So the first thing we're going to do, I got an email early in this week, or no, actually it was on Facebook. I think it was on Facebook. She was making a trench coat, and I don't want to embarrass anybody, but she had bought very expensive fabric, and she said, do I really need to make a muslin? Yes. I mean, you know, here it is. A muslin is 3 pieces. In a trench coat, it's only 2 pieces. It's the front, it's the side, it's the back in the 1500. It didn't take me, I don't know, didn't take me 30 minutes. To me, that's worth knowing that your fabric is going to be right rather than risking it. And there's things that can go wrong. I don't really understand why you would want to risk that. So let's just make a muslin. We've sold and shipped all of that muslin fabric, so everybody has nice muslin fabric now, and this is some of the stuff we used. So you're only going to do 3 pieces for the body. You're going to do the front, the side, and the back. You are going to make a sleeve. There isn't anything else that's necessary to make the muslin. I don't need a collar. I don't need anything else. I just need those 3 pieces and then the sleeve, which is 2 pieces. So I lied. I'm sorry. There's 5 pieces. Okay, so I sewed the dart. I sewed the dart because I wanted you to see that the dart was there. And for me, I've made this pattern enough. I know this pattern fits for me, and I know that dart is the size for me. I would not sew this dart. There's 2 darts on 1500. One is under the lapel, it's the bust dart, and one is at the waist, it's the waist dart. Don't sew the waist dart. You can drape it in, or you could at least sew it small or baste it, because chances are you might have to monkey with that. But I don't leave this one out. Sew that one, or otherwise the whole entire top won't fit right. Okay, so whenever you put a jacket on, don't try the jacket on without shoulder pads. Right on the back of the pattern it says shoulder pads. Whenever a jacket has shoulder pads, if you put it on without shoulder pads, it's going to do this. That's because you've got too much length at the side, and so it droops. Once I put in my shoulder pad, and you don't have to use the size shoulder pad that the pattern says, but you know, you have to at least know that if you're not going to use a shoulder pad, you're going to have droop. And can you see how that just pulled that up? So I don't have any issues with that anymore. You really only need to do half of the jacket. When I'm draping people, I only do half. The reason I don't do the whole jacket is not because I'm lazy, it's not because I'm trying to save time, it's because most likely I won't pin both sides exactly the same, and then you won't know which one to go with. All the time women say to me, well, this side's not even, this side. Most of you are even. If you're not, then you're going to have to do both sides. But I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of us think that our bodies are these horrible conglomerations when they're really not. They're really pretty good shape, and they look good, especially when they get something draped to them. Alright, so put your shoulder pads in. I've got my 3 pieces. I want to do my seams to the outside. If you're a little bit worried about circumference, make your seams a little bit larger. Don't change your stitching lines, but make your seams a little bit larger. Seams are going to be to the outside. It's much easier for you to change it on yourself when your seams are to the outside. Okay, it's much easier to make those changes. When you put the seams in, it looks pretty, but it's a muslin. It doesn't look that pretty anyway. So seams are to the outside. I put the 3 pieces on, and notice what I've done is I've just put a pin at the waist and closed it up. Okay, easy enough. I've just closed it up where I want the button to be. In this particular style, there's only one button. It is at the waist, and the jacket goes and opens, and that's because it's the most flattering look for you. If you notice, when you look at the front of this jacket, your eye just keeps going vertical. It's a really beautiful line jacket. Now keep in mind that this was the very first pattern we ever put out. So this jacket was made for a designer that I worked for prior to ever having a pattern line, and we made this jacket, oh gosh, every season it was in the line in a different fabric somehow. So this jacket fits very well. It's a beautiful jacket, and I think you'll really find that you like it. You will have some changes. There's no such thing as a perfect pattern. I've said that many times, but we're going to address those changes and you can make them easy enough. If you are a different size from top to bottom, you will always choose the pattern by your bust size. Always. And that doesn't mean measure your bust and choose that size, because silhouette patterns are finished garment measurements. So what that means is I need to know how much ease I want in my jacket. So I always suggest you go try on, see what you like, measure the jacket at the fullest part of the bust, and then choose your size on the back. Choose it for the bust. If you need a larger size in the hips, you can do one of two things. You can either go and just add extra seam allowance all the way around and release it once you put it on, or you can literally just, go from one size of the bust to the waist and then go out at the hips. Either one works. Doesn't make a difference. This is not a knit pattern, this is a woven, but I can still use a knit muslin. Okay, I don't have to use a woven for a woven. I'm not going to rely on the stretch for the knit, and this knit is bodied enough that I can use it. I could use a woven fabric, it doesn't make any difference. Okay? Alright, so I've got it made up, I've got it put on. If you are using these darts, if you have them stitched, because they're the size of them, clip them. It'll release them so they don't have pulls in them. What you don't want to do is confuse wrinkles that are fitting wrinkles versus sewing things that you've messed up, if that makes sense. Alright, so I've got the shoulder pads in, and we're going to go length first, circumference, and depth. The reason we go in that order, remember I told you last month when we were draping, is for you to learn what the problems are. I don't have to go in that order because I could look at a problem and tell you what it is. But as you are learning and you're not sure which wrinkle goes to which problem, if you drape in that order, then the solving of those problems will teach you what that wrinkle or problem was, and you will get better and better at recognizing what's wrong and how to fix. So I'm strongly going to suggest we stay with L, C, and D. Okay, so L is the base of the neck to bust. You're not going to have any issues with this, first off, because the dart is underneath the lapel. So even if it's wrong, even if it's too long, even if it's whatever, it's not going to show, so it doesn't make any difference. Alright, it's under the lapel. Make sure in this pattern there's a B, C, and D cup. Use the one that's according to the size you need. Alright, if I go to L, I'm going to turn it to the back, and I'm going to look for any wrinkles around the waist area. That I think that when we see waist, we fixed them in the past. This, I don't see any waist issues at all. I recognize that it's my muslin, but I cut it straight off the pattern. I did not make changes to it. And this jacket is fairly indented at the waist, but there is what we call, and I've tried this jacket on a lot of women, and I'm going to tell you, most do not need to change the length, even if you're shorter. In the ready-to-wear industry, they have what they call a long waist, and basically what that means is I can get by a waist with 5 inches. So for 5 inches, the garment stays the same and shapes the waist, but not dramatically. So look in the mirror, just see if it works or not. If it doesn't, then go ahead and shape it additionally. Don't take it in really tight, because I can do that in my final fabric, and if I go really tight on the muslin, it might be too tight if I use a thicker fabric in the end result. So I don't need to really sculpt the body right here. I'm just looking to see, is the waist in the right place and is it good to go? There's no seam, so it doesn't have to be exact. It has to just be in the area. Alright, the question is, the size of the back of the pattern are very different from other jackets. The sizes on the back of this pattern are very different from other jackets. How would that affect using other patterns of yours we have made? Well, when you say they're very different, I don't know, you know, I've never compared them, so I don't know how to answer that. Not sure. But I mean, use the same size range. I use the same size range in all the jackets. So whatever size range you've landed upon, just stay there and choose that to be the same. But again, probably because this jacket has a little more ease in it, because it's generally worn open. Generally. I mean, you get to do it however you want, but generally. But again, if you've made other jackets and you find yourself in the same size range, you just use that same size range continually. Okay? Alright. So that's length. Any questions on length? Could you make the lining first and use that for a muslin? I don't see why not. I don't see why not. I think so. But if it's, yes, you could. It's a good idea. Never thought of that. Yeah, the only problem is you still have to make the sleeve. I guess you would, I don't know, lining fabric, yeah, I guess it would work. I mean, it's thin. You know, just be careful that the thickness doesn't bite you when you come to circumference. I've never done it. I can't really come up with a reason why not. Yeah, I think that's, you know, try it. Tell me how it works. My background is ready to wear, and ready to wear we don't ever do that. We actually make it out of a very similar product. So I'm trying to my mind is racing to see would it work, you know, I don't know. But try it, and if it works or doesn't work, let me know, and then we'll report back to everybody as to how it did. It's logical that it would, but I'm not sure. Okay? Alright. In 1900 I'm a 6. With this I would make a 4. That seems like a lot. No, it really doesn't, you guys, because the sizes, I think there's so much misunderstanding in sizes. Sizes in these patterns go 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 6, 7, 8. 5 is not bigger than 4 in many of the cases. 5 is actually a smaller size than size 4. Okay, so you've really got to understand it goes 1, 2, 3, 5, 4, 6, 7, 8. So the difference between a 4 and a 6 sometimes is the same thing. Now the only difference in W sizes is W has a larger upper arm. So you would go W in a 6 if you need that upper arm to be larger. But I'm going to tell you to take the sleeve with you that you've already made anyway, and you're going to put it onto this. You're not going to redo the sleeve. So to go from a 6 to a 4, that isn't a lot of difference. I mean, forget the numbers. And I think you guys have a hard time doing that. It's actually makes sense to me. Okay? I'm short, and the waist sometimes hits me at the top of my hip area. How do I adjust for a hip that flares out quickly? A little heavy in hip, narrow waist. You know, just if this is too low, just take a tuck all the way across. See, I'm gonna do this for you. So what you can see is, even if I take out, like I'm taking out 1 inch, you can see that this waist still looks like it fits. So if you feel like you need to take some out, go ahead and take it out. It's not wrong. You're gonna, whenever you're doing length issues, you're gonna take it out all the way around. So see, that still looks like it fits because there's an error factor in that waist as to where it is. So, you know, most of you are going to do what you're going to do anyway. You don't listen to me. And if it just finds that it's bunching up and there's too much fabric, go ahead and shorten it. But when you shorten it all the way around. All right? Yeah, you're going to do this in the muslin, so your end fabric won't make a difference. This will not be in your final garment. This will only be in the muslin. Lining is a slippery fabric for ease of wearing. As long as the finished jacket is the same weight, etc., it should work. Yeah, I mean, again, you guys, these are all your call. If I'm going to do a muslin, I would not use lining. I just think there's too much discrepancy in fabric. But, you know, if you want to, like I said, try it and let me know. I'm not trying to reinvent a wheel. I know a pattern that works, and I'm trying to follow the pattern, okay? And I'm trying to tell you the pattern. And you guys can be as creative as you want to be and come up with all this new stuff. I'm okay with that. I'm just telling you it's not the pattern, all right? If you were going to wear a light long sleeve sweater rather than a blouse under the jacket, would you adjust the width of the sleeve? Of course. It's called ease, you guys. You need to decide how much ease you want, what you're going to wear under it. All of those are called variables, and that affects circumference. But right now we're only on length. Is everybody okay with me? We're only on length. Okay, so what I did is I took that up. I took it up all the way around, the same amount. I took it up an inch, and what you saw is there wasn't any difference. You couldn't see any difference between the shorter and the longer. Doesn't really look any different. Okay, now I'm not telling you that it's going to be that way on every pattern. I'm telling you that in this pattern I drafted it and I made that waist wide. That was a trick I learned many years ago, and it's a great trick. It's a great trick. It makes for much less work for the end user, which is you all. Okay, so I've got this pinned up all the way around, and I took it up an inch, a ½ inch on each side of this tuck, and I pinned it out. Okay, so now let's look at circumference. Circumference is all of those things we've been mentioning. Circumference is what I'm going to wear under it. Circumference is my personality. Circumference is it winter? Is it summer? Circumference changes with fabric, but not a lot, just a little bit. So I'm going to say if I'm using a thicker fabric, I'll cut a ½ inch seam allowance and sew a 3/8. So I'll give myself just a little bit extra. Other than that, keep your seam allowance the same consistently. Can the swayback alteration be taken in the center back seam instead of using a dart and taper? No. Swayback is a horizontal issue. It's not, you're trying to make it vertical. So that won't work in my book. A swayback is a horizontal issue. By definition, a swayback is when it's shorter at center back than it is at the side. So by taking it in at center back does not make it shorter. That's circumference. Anytime you take in. Don't confuse horizontal and length with vertical and circumference. If you make the muslin out of a lining, you would still have to take it back apart to use as a pattern for the good fabric. Not necessarily, because if I use the muslin to make if I use the lining, I'm sorry, to make the muslin, like if I made this change in the lining, I could just stitch it in the lining and leave it in the lining, and then I could go to the pattern and change the pattern and use the pattern with the change in it and leave it like this in the lining. So it would work as far as the muslin goes, you know, if that's what you decide you want to do. And no, you wouldn't have to take the muslin back apart, because I could transfer the changes back to my pattern, back to my tissue, which you have the right to do that anyway. Once I make this muslin, I have two options. I can either stitch the changes here and then take it apart and use this as my muslin, which is what I do, or you can take the changes back to tissue. And the reason I do it this way is because I've seen too many mistakes that women know they didn't make a single mistake, but when we go through the project, when something's gone askew in the end, oh, I forgot to make that change, or oh, I took it too big. I mean, there's a myriad of things that happen that you swore never happened, and they did. So I'm just here to tell you, again, it's your jacket, it's your time, everything belongs to you. I'm just the guy who's done it a whole bunch of times, and I'm telling you how I do it and how I have reduced errors. Okay, and I've made the muslin, I sew the muslin, and I take it back apart. Okay, all right. So circumference, again, what affects circumference are my personality, all those things I mentioned. Okay, my circumference is right spot on, I have no problem, but I could easily add to the bottom or take out at the bottom. I've got all these wonderful seams to do it with. A common alteration that I do on this jacket as I fit women out there is this dart, when it comes down from the waist, doesn't see, it kind of has a little pucker there at the bottom, and many times I've taken it and gone all the way to the bottom of the jacket. So I've just literally taken the dart and extended it out, and it smooths out the front. So kind of watch for that. That is something you can do after the jacket is finished. It doesn't have to be done in the muslin. So if you're not seeing it in the muslin, still watch for it in the final jacket. Okay? Okay, then we're going to now talk about depth. As you finish tonight's webcast, can you give some information on finding a good dress form to use for personal fitting? I know that you had a link to the perfect dress form a year or so ago. You guys, I don't have the perfect dress form. I don't even have a dress form. I don't even think there's a good dress form out there, unfortunately. I've been working on this for over a year, and I honestly think that I have found the dress forms for you. I found them in a company in New York. It's time consuming to go through the process and get them to order in, and you know, we just haven't got all the T's crossed and all the I's dotted, but we are working on it to where, you know, probably in January we'll have a dress form. We won't continually carry them online. We will just have kind of a sale. We'll get them all made and ship them, but don't hold your breath on that. But we're trying to get it together for January, okay, or even late December. Okay, everybody okay with this so far? We've done length, we've done circumference, depth. Depth is important, and depth's going to clean some stuff up here, so I want you to really understand it. If I used a smaller shoulder pad, okay, if I took this out, Jared, give me that shoulder pad right there, would you, right there, underneath the table. Sorry, excuse me. This is a 1-inch shoulder pad, and let me just say something about shoulder pads here, because I've had so many women say to me, I hate shoulder pads. You guys don't hate shoulder pads. You need to love shoulder pads. You need to learn to understand them, and what you should understand about shoulder pads is I can control how wide I put them. I don't have to make myself look like a football player, but what they do is they make my shoulders look more erect, and that will make me look younger and thinner, all at the same fail swoop. Alright, so having said that, I went from the 1-inch shoulder pad, I'm putting in a 1/2-inch shoulder pad, and because this pattern calls for a 1-inch shoulder pad, if I decide to use a 1/2-inch shoulder pad, I am going to have some gapping unless I have really square shoulders. So notice when I put that in, how I have kind of wrinkles around that. So to compensate, I need to stick up here because all this extra fabric is falling down to the armhole. And this, when I make this alteration, it's a straight angle line, and it goes from to nothing at the neck edge. I am not changing the neck edge. There's nothing wrong with the neck edge. I'm simply deciding to use a narrower shoulder pad, and so now you can see I have the same exact fit that I had when I had the 1-inch in there, but I'm only now using a 1/2-inch shoulder pad. I've made the armhole smaller. I'm going to take my jacket armhole template and I'm going to put it on my pattern. And when I put it on my pattern, I'm going to start with where the alteration took. I'll put it there, and I'll swing it out to the side seam like that, and I'll redraw that armhole. Alright, so in this case what I'm going to do is I'm going to restore the armhole back to the same exact size it was. I'm just going to lower it down. Okay, easy enough? Alright. Any other darting that you see in here, I mean, I actually haven't had a lot of problem. There's only one other thing I want to talk about, is if you want to make the shoulders narrower, because that seems to be a really big concern for a lot of you. Our shoulders are pretty narrow, so don't automatically do it. But let me tell you how I do it when I decide that I want it. This is an Armani jacket that I bought a little while ago, and I just really like this jacket. I liked how it fit. There was a lot of things I liked about it. So while the jacket's on me, I measured from this point, which is the shoulder seam, and I measured through the center front to this point over here, and that's 15 inches across. So I knew center front was at 7.5 inches. This is all styling, but this is a great way to find out what you like visually on your body. Don't get too wide, don't get too narrow. Go try on some jackets, measure across. This is on your measurement chart too that Brett put up, okay? And the center front is right there, and it's 7.5, okay, in my case. Okay, then what I can do, okay, hang on one second. Then what I can do is I can come to my pattern, and I can take center front and go straight up, and I can measure from center front over and see where the armhole comes in. Take away your seam allowance. And I'll know exactly if this is too wide, too narrow, too whatever, and I can make the change. Okay, so if I have my armhole template again, if I'm lowering this to a 1/2 inch and I'm making it narrower, then my armhole template starts down a little bit and then I swing it to the side. So the beauty of this template is I can put this part wherever I want, narrower, higher, lower, and I can put this part at the side seam without changing the circumference, and I never have to worry about what I did to the armhole. I can, totally desiccate that armhole and restore it back, and the sleeve will fit without even a single worry. So that armhole template is really important, that you understand it, know how to use it, etc., etc. Okay, so there was a question that came in about the dart, and does the dart go to the bust? The dart should not go to the bust, it should go to the bust circle. The bust circle is a 3-inch radius around the bust point. So it can go 3 inches away. It can go 2 inches away. How close it goes crosses over into style. But by the rules, it has to be within 3 inches of the bust point, which is the nipple. Alright? Okay. So we've covered the styling of this. We've covered, I think, all the issues of fit. The reason I started Silhouette Patterns was this pattern, because all the patterns in ready-to-wear, most of the notch lapels, have darts underneath the lapel. There's a dart there, and what that dart does is it brings the garment back into the body once it goes over the bust. And so it's the bust dart pivoted up into the upper portion. You need a bust dart in the upper portion in order for it to fit well. There was not a single pattern in any of the pattern books that had a dart under the lapel, and that amazed and confused me to no end. So I started Silhouette Patterns, and it has a dart. It has B, C, or D cup under the lapel. That dart is critical to get really beautiful fit in a jacket. Okay, so now we can still talk about fit, but I want to go on to the sleeve. When I'm doing the sleeve, I can't do that on the mannequin. I have to do it on me. And a sleeve on a jacket is a 2-piece sleeve. And if you fold the sleeve in half, you're going to get 1 seam in the front and 1 seam in the back. The lower the seam is in the front, the lower seam is the front, the higher seam is the back. When you fold the sleeve in half and mirror image the sleeve, the seam that is lower is the front, the seam that is higher in the back is the back. You put this on your arm. If you have any wrinkles, you'll have to take a dart, and it's in the front of the sleeve that you take the dart. And let me show you, because I've changed my sleeve, because my arm is more bent than the pattern. So when I go to taper my sleeve, what it looks like is, you can see there's a dart in the front and it tapers to nothing in the back, and you do that on both the front portions of the sleeve. So you see what you get is you get a much more bent sleeve. That bend and your bend needs to match. So is this your first pattern? Yes, 1500 was our first pattern. It was our very first Silhouette pattern. And we're 18 years old, and this pattern is still in every catalog, in every book. It's everywhere. It is the most classic of jackets, period. It's terrific. So I think that's why for a long time people have said to me, oh, I can't do jackets, I can't do jackets, I want to do jackets. I really want you to do jackets. We're taking this time out to help you fit it. Sunday we're going to sit and sew it. Y'all can do this. You don't need a high skill level. It's very easy and it's exciting. We're really going to get through this, and you're going to have some beautiful jackets. And the more you do, the better you get. If it's your very first jacket, give yourself some slack. But don't use junky fabric, because I've seen women make jackets and the fabric is stretching while they're sewing. It's just terrible stuff. Make the muslin. Take the time to make the muslin, and then go get some beautiful fabric, okay? Okay, so that's the sleeve. I just want you to see that sleeve bends, and as the sleeve bends, the sleeve will actually hang straight. It's really a beautiful thing. Okay, so then what I did is I made the changes to my muslin, and I went to get fabric, because there's nothing better than beautiful fabric, right? So when I was in New York, we were going to do this thing, and I got some beautiful fabric for you guys. Beautiful fabrics. So I put up 9 new fabrics, but before I did that, I picked this one and I made this jacket for myself. Now what I did with this is I made it unlined. Now this is a border print. It's absolutely beautiful. I mean, y'all can't even see how gorgeous this jacket is. There was a couple things I wanted in this particular case. I wanted it a little bit shorter, so I took 5 inches off the bottom. Because of a large tummy, I have to lengthen my jackets. Where's the best place to do this adjustment? It's no. Don't, because of a large tummy, lengthen your jacket, you guys. Don't do that. Whenever we dress to cover, we'll never look our best. I would recommend a 1-to-1. So forget your tummy. Nobody's going to stare at you. They're going to say, wow, look at that beautiful jacket. They're not going to say, look at that tummy. Measure yourself from shoulder to knee, divide by half, and that's where it should be. A 1-to-1 jacket is perfect for everybody out there. Shoulder to knee, edge of your shoulder to knee, divide by half, and that works every time. For me, I took off. Would you recommend some of your fabrics that would be best for this jacket? Yes. Give me a few minutes and I'll go through it. I took 5 inches off the bottom. That made it a 1-to-1 for me. So literally take it off the bottom. You can see all I did was fold up 5 inches. It doesn't come internally. Don't take it above the waist. Don't do any of that. Take it off the bottom, fold it up, call it good. All right, and do the same amount for each piece. Do the same for the lining, and everything will stay the same proportions and it will work. All right, now what I wanted to do with this, now this took me 2 yards, and you know, this is, I think it's $40 a yard. This is an absolutely stunning piece of fabric. I mean, I don't know if I've seen such a beautiful piece in a long time. You can't see the details of this, but it's really beautiful. So it's a border, so because I wanted to match the sleeve, you know, with the jacket, you have to cut 1 panel for the body and 1 panel for the sleeves. You can get by with 1 if you decide you want to do a vest of some kind, but I wanted to do 2 pieces. In this particular case, again, I had an Armani that was unlined, and that's kind of the process that I wanted. So what I did is, you can finish many ways. That's all personality, that's all styling. You can do whatever you want. I just serged around each piece before I started, because that's what the Armani did. What about lengthening the jacket to hide the big butt? No. Don't lengthen the jacket to hide the big butt. The big butt's there. The best thing you can do is put on a great jacket. Nobody will look at your butt. They'll all be too busy looking at the jacket. And put on some pretty jewelry. That will help also. Okay, so I cut all these pieces out, and the only thing I did was add the collar and then add the front facing. Everything else is just unlined and easy. Very simple to do and just really beautiful. Absolutely love that jacket. Alright, so let's talk about fabrics for a little bit, because I've got some really amazing fabrics. The last 9 fabrics that you're going to see on the site, because we just added them purposely for the webcast, are incredible. They all will work. This one, it says the eyes have it, and it's a felted wool, and it has actually little holes like every 3 by 4 inches. I mean, the picture on there is very good. It's just beautiful. There's a couple denims, really beautiful denims. One is kind of a stretch denim. It's a printed stretch denim. It just depends on how dressy you want to make your jacket or how casual you want to make your jacket. This is a cotton and a silk. Peggy, are you wearing the long vest that was in the trench webcast? Yes, this is the trench coat. Yes, this is the trench coat. This is that, we still have this fabric. It's like a navy and gray. It's beautiful. It's comfortable. And then I did the sweater set underneath it. I love this thing. I've worn it several times and I just really like it. It's so trendy right now, the long vest. It's wonderful. What is the fabric called? Reversible gray, dark navy, gray reversible. I don't know. It's under fabrics. It's maybe on the 3rd page. I don't know. Email me and I'll send you the name back if you can't find it, but it's there. Alright, this piece of fabric right here, would be beautiful for a jacket. It's a silk and a wool. I mean, a silk and a cotton. Does the blue laminated denim have any stretch to it? No, this is the blue laminated denim. It has no stretch at all. It's real firm, but it's beautiful. I mean, it's really pretty. And keep in mind, you guys, you want to have a little bit of glitz to the jacket because you're going to put it on with jeans, and it's just a really great casual look. Or you can decide to really dress it up. Okay, so watch this burn. This is, remember, well, it's a cotton and silk. Now I'll tell you how you know. It burns, first off, because natural fibers won't burn. Before I burn the whole place down. See the white smoke? That's your cotton. See the afterglow? That's your cotton. Cotton will continue. It has what they call kind of an afterburn after it's blown out. And I don't know how well you can see, but you can still see little sparks like that and see how white that is. Those are all telling you it's cotton. And then afterwards you can see like a little membrane of fabrics. That's cotton also. Okay, the reason I'm trying to put it out is because how you know it has silk in it is now once it's cooled you're going to get a little crunch. Where's my mic? Can y'all hear that? That's telling you it's silk. So that's when you burn a fabric, how you know what it is and what's happening. This is a cotton. Okay, watch this. I love this. This is Eli Tahari. This is kind of Eli Tahari's signature fabric. He's had this quite a bit. This is kind of a like a embossed, printed, stitched, I don't know what the best word is, but watch what happens when I light this stuff. Okay. It has a little bit of a hard time starting. That tells you there's a little bit of, that's the poly in it. It has to have poly in it or it won't maintain its, that beautiful texture that's there. It won't stay in it. It'll just pull right out if there's not poly in there. I'm looking for the fabric that you made the jacket out of. It looks black and white. Oh, this jacket. It is black and white. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the fabric I had on. You guys, this is called, gosh, can you pull up the site? Hold on just a minute. We'll find it. It's gorgeous. I mean, it's really pretty. And I noticed the picture in on the site doesn't do it justice. Go to fabrics. Go to like the 4th page. Hang on, we're looking. Go to the next page. No, wait, is that it? Italian what? Let me see. Oh, right in the middle. Yes, that's it. Right in the middle. What's that called? The top one in the middle. No, the top row, middle. Okay, black, white, gray, ombre, Italian, wool acrylic stretch woven. That's what the jacket is. Sorry, and it's a border print. So the bottom is black and each panel is like a yard long. All right, does that help? All right, there's something else I wanted to talk to you about tonight. A couple looks, just in general. First off, this right here. A lot of times when I do lapels and collars, contrast the color. Especially in a print, it's a great way to set off the neckline and then kind of make a matching tank. It's really a nice look. I've done it over and over in different colors. It's a great look. When I burn the fabric, what do I do with the information? How does it help me? For me, I just want to know the fabric. I don't think it helps you. I don't think it changes how you care for it. I just think I want to know what it is, and I personally knows that when I'm sewing with cotton and silk, it presses beautifully, it handles beautifully on the sewing machine. If I burn a fabric and it's 100% poly, sometimes I have a harder time sewing with it. If I love it, I'll still sew with it. I just know that I need to be more patient in the process because I've kind of got to melt it into place because poly doesn't press as well. So for me, that's just what I like to know. Okay? Where can I find faux leather binding? I see it all over in ready to wear. You know, the faux leather, you should be able to find that anywhere. I mean, I sell the real leather, but I don't like faux leather. I don't like how it looks. I don't like how it hangs. So I don't know because I don't kind of go after it, but I would even think any fabric store close by to you should have it, or just Google it online, faux leather trim. I don't have a reference to help you. I'm sorry on that one. All right, then what I want you to notice is styling on the lapel. All right, because when you look at a notch lapel and the collar, you notice that the collar is shorter than the lapel. So the lapel actually extends past center front, and the collar usually stops right at center front, and that's what makes the notch. So you can get lots of different styles out of the same base pattern, which is kind of what I wanted to, that was an important part I wanted to get to tonight. Notice how this is just curved. It's still, goes past center front. This stops at center front if you close up the jacket. So you can see this is the Armani I was talking about. Simply by curving this and curving this, they created a whole different style of jacket. So look at those collar and lapels and pay attention to what they're doing, and I can create a lot of different styles with the same base jacket. When you lengthen the trench coat, did you use the lengthen or shorten lines? You just add to the bottom. Whenever you are lengthening for style, you don't use internal lines. You just add to the bottom. So because I was just trying to make this longer for style, I just added to the bottom. Okay? Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk to you guys just quickly about tonight was, this is the pattern that is going to be done with our PBS. This is our new pattern. It's pattern number 65, Mary's Wrap. It is adorable. It's all over, ready to wear right now. It's a little bit tricky as far as the pattern goes. Otherwise, I'd tell you how to make it, but it's not as easy as it looks, but it's a great top. So that one is going to come out. It'll be free when you buy the 500 series, and that's later on. But I just wanted to show it to you. This is our last webcast. Will you be getting any more 10-yard stretch muslin knits? All of the fabric I buy is design ends. 100% of the fabric. I don't go out and source fabric at all. I buy designer ends because they are the best product for the cheapest price, and I resell that. So when I bought the muslin, it was from a designer. I bought everything they had at that time. They don't have any more. I don't have any more. If I get some more, obviously it did very well. We sold thousands of yards, but we don't have any more. We just don't. If I find more, yes, I'll buy more. But you could never find it, like that quality of muslin, you could never find it for, $3 a yard, what we paid for it. It's ridiculously cheap. All right, so tonight, the interfacing, get your interfacing. There's a book. Your elastic. This elastic is $1 a yard. You buy the 50-yard roll. We have shipped elastic, and we have ordered more, and we have ordered more until the manufacturer no longer has elastic. So just please be patient with it. We'll still honor the pricing, but the good news about this elastic is you can get it to be any width you want. It is 2 yards wide, but if you need 1/4 inch, half, whatever you need, you can cut it to the width you need. It's great stuff. It's great stuff. Can you explain what, in your opinion, is the benefit of subscribing to the POM as opposed to ordering the POM monthly? Well, just right out of the bat, it's cheaper. Isn't it cheaper? What's 10 times 12? Yeah, it's $20. It's cheaper. I mean, that's just my first response. Second response, I promise you that you're going to love the patterns, because I'm gonna show you each month how to make them great. You don't have to go in and order every month. And then if you already have the month, you can just email us and tell us you want something else, and we'll switch it out for you. So, I mean, I think it's a great deal. We think it's a great deal. But if you decide you want to order it each month, we have people who do both. So it's no problem either way. Really, it was a suggestion that came from you all. I thought it was a great suggestion, and we have been very successful with it. And I think most people just really, really love it. We've had a few problems along the way, but for the majority, they really love it. Which reminds me, that is up. We just put that up today, actually. The email tomorrow will have a link to it, but the POM for 2016 is up. For a total year, it's $100. Ballpark price on the dress form. The dress form will be probably $300 to $400. That's ballpark. The dress forms cost about $50 to ship, so we know that that's included in that ballpark price. Anyway, the POM club is terrific. I would, if you haven't done it, I would definitely do it. What's the question? What would plaid fabric work on this pattern? Yes, this is A notch lapel, I appreciate that question. A notch lapel, the whole reason we have a notch lapel, it is for your geometric designs. It is generally not for florals. It is for geometrics, plaids, stripes, solids. It is a geometric pattern in the fact that it is notch lapel. All the corners are square, and so it lends itself to fabric that does the same. Isn't your muslin a knit? Yes. I thought we were supposed to make our muslin the same type of fabric as the actual garment. My jacket would be made out of a woven. If your jacket is made out of woven, you can use a knit. You can't use a knit if you rely, I'm not relying on this knit for fit. I'm just using it as a muslin. I'm not stretching it, I'm not pulling it, I'm not using negative ease, so it doesn't matter the fabric that I use. Okay? Hopefully that helps you. Are you going to show the multicolored jacket behind you? Sure. This is just a jacket. This is 1500. I made this jacket, gosh, probably when I first released the jacket pattern. It's that old. But you know what, as I was going through older samples, it's just right back in style. You know, it's a longer jacket with leggings. So the reason I had this hanging here, I forgot to tell you, was I wanted to say to you all, the jacket is long. I made the jacket long purposely because it's harder to fit over the hips. You want to fit it long. Then if you need to add length, you've cleared the hips and everything will work. If you want to make it shorter and you take away, you still are just taking away length and the fit doesn't change. So you're better off to fit it through the hips so that as the styles change and we go back to longer jackets, you will have that fit included in your muslin and you'll just fold it up if you don't need it. How much should I alter the patterns for a larger bust? You shouldn't alter the patterns at all. You should just pick out the cup size that works for you. Just pick, you know, you're going to pick your circumference first, and then in every circumference is a B, C, or D cup. Pick the circumference first and the cup size next, and you'll be good to go. You know, you shouldn't have to alter at all. Email me, Peggy at Silhouette Patterns, if you have any problems. You guys can always take photos and send them to me. You know that. Okay? The goal here is to get a jacket. Everybody on board? You do have to give me warning when you're sending photos. Just don't send me 40 photos, you guys. I only need 1, 2 at the most. You don't have to really give me warning. Just don't send like 10 photos, okay? Because you clog up my box and nobody else can get in or out. So, you know, just be careful of that. All right, so I think we're in great shape. We're very excited. We've got lots going on. The POM Club for 2016 is open. We've just completed PBS. We're going to have that for you. We've got some beautiful fabrics. Every one of these fabrics that we put up, you guys, would be spectacular. I mean, there are some really pretty things there that I was very excited about. This fabric here, it's like got gray. It's a black fabric. It's got gray and white checks on it. It's actually not printed. It's woven through the fabric. It's an Italian piece. Absolutely stunning. And as you make this jacket woven or knit, you'll change the look up completely. How much should I change the pattern for a larger bust? I mean a double D cup. Bra cup sizing and jacket cup sizing are not the same. Even though you use the same numbers, don't assume because you're a double D or a G or an F, whatever it is, that you'll have to change the D cup. Do it first. Your cup sizing issues will be gapping below the armholes. I can fix that with the shoulder seam, and it'll be gapping through here, and I can take a dart out to fix that. So just if you have any questions, don't create problems before they happen. Even if they've happened in other patterns, you guys. I believe in every part of me that our patterns are absolutely better than what was out there. If I wasn't going to improve the product, I didn't need to do it. You know, there was no reason for me to spend my time. All right, are we good? We have had fun here at Silhouette Patterns, you guys. Thank you. We will see you on Sunday. Hopefully we will see you on Sunday. We will record it. We will put it back up online for you. So we will send out an email tomorrow. We'll let you know all the details, and we will see you Sunday. Thanks so much for being here. Happy sewing. Bye.